Well, hello, that's me again. Today is September 29th, 2024. It is Sunday, so for some people it's the end of the weekend. So here I am talking to you about geopolitics, as I did for the last almost 3 years. Um, Apart from the seeing yet another application in the beginning of this video in the opening, so to speak, sequence, I want to talk about what many people ask me. Who is this music by? Well, the music which you see in the, at the video of the FAB 3000, yet another FAB 3000 flying into the Chasov Yar, into one of the points or locations of the temporary, in Russian it sounds funny, dislocation, dislocatia, but actually location of the armed forces of Ukraine. Yeah, the music actually is by my good friend Anton Ovcharenko, and you can see his, actually my credit to him in pretty much all my videos from the get-go, and it is called Nero. And of course, everybody knows what Nero and who Nero was. At least legend says it. No, there are all kinds of the conflicting ideas and opinions about Nero. That some say that actually he was pretty sane, all things considered. But you know, he played the liar as the Rome burned. You know, so that's what they say. There are all kinds of other things about this, so I might be even mixing some things, so don't be too hard on me, because I'm getting old and I'm not specialist in the ancient Roman history. But the point is, Nero is obviously, how to put it politely, it's a euphemism for everything which is going bad, while people are having a pyre, and things are going bad, and they're going bad so bad that prostitutes of the Western media, as if somebody gave them the command, the order, they suddenly begin to march in this rank and file, and just, okay, let's take a look. Suddenly, well, I mean, it's Financial Times, it's a globalist, central, but here it is. Suddenly they say that, oh my God, war in Ukraine, Financial Times, for some reason they think that they are really, really cool and, they matter, they don't. But still, it's just indicative that Ukraine's new infantry recruits freeze in the face of Russian onslaught. Inadequate training, burnout, and rising age of soldiers affect survival on the battlefield after conscription drive. Wasn't it the same thing I was talking about, and many of my friends and colleagues have been talking about, that essentially once in by the essentially May 2024, or pardon me, 2022, the first iteration of the armed forces of Ukraine has been wiped out. As my friend Larry Johnson also says, talks a lot about training. He was talking about this movie, he was mentioning this movie of the Multiplicity, I believe, in which, with Michael Keaton, where he explains that each new version was worse and worse and worse in terms of training. And again, you have to keep in mind, this NATO training is, well, it's trash. It's primarily propaganda, and there are all kinds of the evidence and documented evidence of Ukrainian cannon fodder going through those training in Germany or whatever, Great Britain and Spain. And the point is, what could this NATO people possibly teach them? That's the problem with this. I mean, this whole mythology of some kind of the super duper, terminators from NATO, it's all garbage. I mean, many of the troops, there is a video evidence, for example, in NATO, they don't even know how to operate the compass and, map. Paper map. Remove the GPS, they're done. They are goners. But here it is. So, but if that hasn't been enough, now another globally central. It is, of course, British, but actually it is run by today by chief editor who is American, and look at this. oh my God, the war is going badly, Ukraine and its allies might change course, the time for credible war aims and NATO membership. Sure, I mean, we understand that imbeciles run the Western militaries, but yeah, sure, try to offer Ukraine the NATO membership, see what's gonna happen. And that's, as you can see yourself, they say 3 days ago that if Ukraine and its Western backers are to win, they must first have the courage to admit that they are losing in the past 2 years. So they talk about this whole situation. So no, they're not losing, they lost. They just do not understand, because these are people who are graduates of all those degree mills in humanities from all kinds of the garbage universities in the West, who still think that they are really cool, you know, they really know things. They're not losing, they already lost. It's just a matter of the rearrangement of the phase, so to speak, or phase of the rearranging. Basically, NATO doesn't have any kind of the resources left. Of course, they, you know what, they can go and beg United States to deeper in the what is called non-reducible stocks of the weapons. But what's the point? NATO weapon systems have been paraded as absolutely making very little difference on the battlefield and having primarily the tactical impact. And if we take a look today at what is happening in terms of the armed forces of Ukraine losses, we have this situation. So as you can see yourself, consistently for many months now, we have the above 2,000 whatever killed on the Ukrainian side. Yet another 7 tanks and APCs, 40 armored vehicles, 25 artillery mortars, and 172 UAVs. Well, here is the panorama. This is from Spain. You see, they say that, you know what, the man who was basically praised by the West, is he the actually the real cause for the, as you can see yourself, 25th of September, if he is the main cause and reason behind the, well, the catastrophe. And they talk about the millions, actually, of people killed on Ukrainian side and the complete destruction of the country. Well, I'm sorry, guys, it's too late. You should have been writing those things in 2022, somewhere around May, June 2022, where the first iteration of the Ukrainian armed forces have been annihilated. But again, listen, you have those guys, boys from Pentagon, you know, who never won a war in their life, and, you know, let alone those clowns from London who think that they can fight. No, they can't, and that's the problem. And here it brings us to this imbecile. As you can see yourself, this is Mr. Fukuyama. And he talks about, basically repeats, well, just listen yourself.
I'm quite supportive of Ukraine's ability to strike into Russia itself, because I think that they're vulnerable. Their civilian population hasn't really experienced the war, and so if you can make them do that, that would be important. But basically, Russia is not going to agree to a ceasefire unless it feels, compelled to do so. And right now, they're not feeling enough pain, for that to happen.
And what he suggests here is basically to the same good old shtick, which, again, considering the fact that none of the NATO people who really matter in NATO, and NATO is primarily United States, and all those chihuahuas from London, they never defended their country on the ground. They don't understand what it is. They have no clue. Obviously, they don't know history, and obviously, Mr. Fukuyama, being essentially a war criminal, and as you can see yourself, he was the guy who signed this unique document in 1998, which essentially is the cause for death of many millions of people and destruction of Iraq and destabilization of the region. Here it is. These are the people who, well, they're morons. They don't understand war. But for some reason, people in the Council of Foreign Relations, where Mr. Fukuyama has, some pretty, high value, I would say, because he constantly, writes all his delirium into the foreign affairs, they think that they know war. And they, for some reason, think that they know Russia. None of them do. None. Zero. Even Mr. Burns, who is CIA and former ambassador to Russia, he doesn't know what he's talking about. They simply have no toolkit to properly assess it. And that's suddenly those, the breaking of the dam of the, lies about the dynamics of the special military operation. We suddenly have this whole, host of the Western major media admitting that it's pretty much over. I mean, it's, they are beginning to, so to speak, flush Ukraine down the toilet. Well, as I already stated, too little, too late. But the point is, they still think that if they repeat this shtick or this cliche, which none of them understand the meaning of it, none, including people in the, for example, West Point or, U.S. War College, U.S. Army War College, they don't understand. They have no reference point. They don't understand what it is attack on your motherland. Well, when you point me out to any kind of the serious military combined arms operation in which the U.S. Army, for example, defended Chicago or Boston against some hordes of, I don't know, Mongols or maybe Russians for some, or Chinese, no, North Koreans or whatever the name of this, Wolverines, so Red Dawn garbage, so they. That's their understanding of war. They don't have no clue what it is. And so they think and they continue to repeat this cliche, that, oh yeah, you need to hit, deeper in Russia and, to give those damn Russians, their women, children, all kinds of civilians, the real taste of the, of the war. Russians know the taste of the war. United States is not even in the same league. They have no clue. Every Russian family lost somebody or fought somebody in the World War II. And obviously, Mr. Fukuyama, being ignoramus from whatever he teaches, some kind of garbage, I mean, they have no clue. They have no toolkit to wrap their brains around it. And then suddenly you have this situation, say, yeah, let's, kill more Russians. Okay. So Mr. Peskov today comes out with this announcement that, yeah, this is Russia's new nuclear doctrine. Ready. This is Kremlin. So, and they talk about the updated version of the Russian nuclear doctrine has been finalized and is now going through necessary procedures to become law. And here is again, I want to remind you, there is still misunderstanding on the issue of this new updated doctrine. The update was proposed by Russian President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday, who said that the nuclear strategy should consider aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state, but with the participation or support of the nuclear state. Many people continue, wrongly assume that this is about lowering of the threshold. No, it's not actually lowering of the threshold. Many people still miss the main point of this update. The main point of this update is that Russia finally removes the wall of proxy between herself and NATO. Period. NATO, the cowards that they are, who never won anything except for, killing civilians and creating mayhem everywhere they go, they were hiding behind, still are hiding behind the, basically, backs of the cannon fodder. Fact is, I mean, they are very well recorded in shooting into the backs of the retreating Ukrainian troops. Poles, Americans, all kinds of people, from NATO, they basically distinguished themselves of doing those things. And suddenly, what Russia says, that's the essence of it, apart from other points like, taking Belarus under the umbrella, which, of course, now Mr. Lukashenko has the verbal diarrhea, constantly talking about how powerful he is, because Russia now completely covers Belarus as if the Belarus part of Russia, by the nuclear umbrella. But the point is that you attack, like today, as I showed you, 175 UAVs. How many of those UAVs actually are made or in some sense created one way or another? What have you? Blocks, large, single block assembly in Ukraine by Western powers, by NATO. I'm pretty sure some of them. So now, once it becomes a law, this new doctrine, and even if this massive attack by UAVs, happens against Russia, well, guess what? You're going to get it. And that's going to be those who provided that. and those who, for example, like United States, constantly provides targeting for the Ukrainian armed forces against the Russian military and civilian targets. It's a well-known fact, confirmed by the, pile of evidence. So is United States getting it? Yeah, if they decide to do stupid things, they will. So, and for the first time, we have now the very strict definition there again, and I repeat what I spoke about in the last video, that this includes now new Russian territories. So, once it becomes law, well, we'll see. And the question is not that, Russians are threatening something which many, well, because like Fukuyama, they are stupid. They're downright idiots, especially like neocons, they don't know what war is, they don't understand what nuclear policy is, they have no clue what new technological paradigm in warfare is. So, but they think that they will, get off easily. No, they will not. And as I already stated many times before, and I think it's necessary to constantly clarify what is this all about. There are assets of the United States, if there's some United States equipment, goes into these new territories, or for that matter, British or what have you, there are very many targets of NATO around the world, which Russia will start, for warm up. Again, I said last time, couple of frigates of the Marine Nationale. If any scalp now flies, for example, in Donetsk area, oh, absolutely, that could be the authority based on Crete. There are all kinds of things which could be done and which are very painful for NATO. And if they want to escalate, Russia is ready. And that's what is this all about. It's a removal of the proxy, this, buffer zone behind which actually NATO, led by the United States, was hiding. Now they have no way of hiding because it have been very clearly defined in terms of their initial conditions of what is happening, and then of course some, I'll say operational level nuances, so to speak. They are free for the interpretation by Russian side. You know what? Rules-based order. Simple as that. That's the thing. A boomerang. They don't like to feel it, but this is what it is. This is what is coming back to all those, demagogues from the State Department and other places like this, which formed these suicidal and homicidal policies around the world for the last 25 years. As you saw yourself in this famous letter by the, of course, this former doesn't exist anymore per se. Neocons are still all in power and they run things in Washington. But Project for the New American Century, where those nincompoops, people with the technical and military education, real military education and warfare experiences, decided that because they beat, Iraq in 1991, they somehow, preeminent force. Well, yeah, they beat the 5-year-old kid in the sandbox. So there you go. But yeah, they about this situation with the competence, we have been through this so many times. I'm just beginning to repeat myself. They are illiterate about the ways the world works. So, and just to demonstrate to you to what degree of the imbecility it all comes down to, what do you expect? I understand. It is embarrassment. It is not just embarrassment. It's a parody on Benny Hill comedy. We have the situation with this, well, you know what, United Kingdom guys, British guys, you like those people. Please don't give me that. You constantly elect all those parties because, and yeah, I understand people. They have no choice really by electing pretty much same garbage which they have there in London. But look at this. Former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said he ordered military chiefs to plan a raid on a Dutch factory in March 2021 to secure 5 million COVID vaccines that the European Union had threatened to bar from being exported to Britain. These are the guys, what can I say? it's a comedy. First, we have to keep in mind what British armed forces are, or United Kingdom armed forces are. They are a joke. Well, and here we have, Johnson said the deputy chief of Britain's defense staff at the time, Lieutenant General Doug Chalmers, had told him a raid using small boats to cross the channel and navigate Dutch canals would be possible, but warned him of diplomatic repercussions. Well, that's pretty much everything you need to know about British politics, and what can I say? This is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, panic continues, and now Russians beginning to kind of get a little bit of new types of the weapon systems for Ukrainians to consider, and this is of course the actually the what is called the item. It's the project Inahodets, which is of course Pacer, so to speak, and it was the delivery of the those new types of the vehicles which went through the testing in Syria and performed brilliantly. So Russians now, as you can see yourself, this is how the Russians annihilate the one of the armor vehicles of the armed forces of Ukraine, and as you can see yourself, something which is obviously guided flies into and destroys the vehicle. But what is this Inahodets? Here it is. If you take a look at this Inahodets, which is of course it's Orion, but it was updated to carry all kinds of the weapons. And here, as you can see yourself, on the 19th they talk of the now very massive and successful use of these UAVs. It's for those of fanboys of UAVs who think that UAVs change everything. They didn't change everything, but they are a very important part of the evolution of the warfare of the 21st century. And they have the Pacer hits from afar and from above, the history of creation and the main characteristics of this drone. It was published, as you can see yourself, 10 days ago by Российская газета, Russian newspaper establishment, and here they give you a little bit of the information on the issue of this Inahodets or Pacer. So it is a very long duration thing. It has a wingspan of 16 meters, it's 50 feet, length of device is 8 meters, takeoff weight 1200 kilograms, it's 2400 pounds, give and take, and maximum payload weight is 400 pounds, and that allows very significant changes to the fire impact of this thing, and duration of continuous flight at least 24 hours, cruising speed of 180 kilometers an hour, and it can fly, the ceiling is about 7500 meters. And here is the Orion. At that time it was Orion, has been tested in Syria. There is actually military acceptance video or presentation or broadcast about it by TV channel Zvezda, famous, Mr. Yegorov. He actually dedicated the whole thing a few years back precisely to this UAV technologies Russians have been testing in Syria. And so they say that the combat version was equipped, it's still equipped with 3 suspension points, 2 under the wing consoles, 1 under the fuselage. For the Pacer, whole range of guided and unguided ammunition weighing between 20, 50 and 100 kilogram was developed. They are capable now of carrying Vikhar, one of the ATGMs, which you also could see in this video which I showed you, and this is Vikhar, and this is a deadly anti-tank and anti-armor guided missile. You can see yourself this Vikhar here, you see on the left side, and yeah, it can carry bombs. It has a very developed optronic system, so it's an extremely advanced vehicle, but now it is mass produced, and this is just the continuation of the program of basically natural organic development of the unmanned aerial vehicles which Russia uses, and Russia outproduces the whole Western world combined in terms of the UAVs. And of course, keep in mind, in terms of the loitering munitions, such as Zala's Lancet and its different iterations, and there are other types. It's just, there's nothing like this out there, which really has the not only proven astonishing military combat record in the real combat, not against some defenseless Iraqis or what have you. And obviously there is another variations of the solution, for example, of the electronic warfare issues, which periodically the armed forces of Ukraine, or rather not armed forces of Ukraine, it's very much operated by the NATO personnel, how they overcome it. One of the ways of doing this, especially for the short duration drones, is to use now fiber optic cable. And guess what? Works miracles. In fact, obviously it provides basically uninterrupted video feed. And yeah, there are all kinds of the video proofs of that, how it works. It's beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely, the resolution is absolutely stunning. And so, yeah. So that's all kinds of the military technologies in the field of the unmanned aerial vehicles, which Russia developed and is deploying now in industrial quantities, and they are having impact. And so I want to also explain one thing which people ask questions, but oh, you were talking about for a month like about this collapse of the front. Actually, we are within the collapse of the front, and when it collapses finally, because it's not a process which is done in 24 hours, throw away those fairy tales. In order for you to collapse the front, especially this is the most defended front since World War II, and well, actually, it's more defended than there are many things in the World War II by, for example, Germans. But it takes time, but you can see yourself when it begins to yield and when it begins to liquefy. And as I already stated, if you take a look at Ugledar, for example, and you see yourself what is happening, it's movement all over. They cannot now escape from Ugledar, the trapped forces there. They are being annihilated non-stop. But there is also the movement, if you take a look attentively at which is happening around Ugledar and towards Zaporozhye. There is all kinds of things are happening, and you know what? Those military planners from Pentagon and from what have you, London, who planned this, Kursk adventurism for armed forces of Ukraine, they have to really face the reality of the real operations and real war. And it's very unpleasant. And this is what is happening in terms of the collapse of the front, because they run. And for those people who do not understand what is happening, take a look at the pictures of the front. You will see yourself. It is moving to the west, and it's moving pretty fast. It will accelerate. That's what collapse is. And the question is, as I already basically showed you in the beginning of this video, about all those media outlets suddenly, admitting that, oh my God, we have this issue. Well, you do. They always did. It just there was the matter of how Russians were developing their strategy. That never was under any questions. Only imbeciles believe that Ukraine can win, or we'll say combined force of NATO there now basically, could win Russia. They are not in the same league. All those, NATO armies, yeah, sure. So, and now when we have this clear-cut doctrine, so yeah, the proxy is removed, and, here it is. Let's talk one mano to mano. It's no time now for them to, hide behind the backs of their best proxy combined West ever had. The Ukrainian army circa 2022 was the best army west of Moscow. So, better than any NATO army combined and things of this nature. Well, not anymore. So, and now I want to address one thing which people will be asking me, because I don't know if it is, that's the problem. Don't quote me on this, okay? Because who knows? But here we have, it's Wall Street Journal. Yeah, we know Wall Street Journal is, obviously, it's a tabloid, and as any mainstream media in the West. But the point is that, yeah, there are a lot of kind of things going around about China's newest nuclear submarine sending back its military modernization. It was noted on the September 26th. There were some satellite pictures with some cranes trying to basically do something about the pier. Evidently, they're talking about the Zhou class newest submarine, nuclear powered submarine, which allegedly sunk near the pier. just at the pier, basically. Essentially, it wasn't operational. Evidently, it was outfitting, floated near the pier, and then outfitting with all kinds of the systems, whatever those systems were. And now the number of the Western media report on that. So I don't know, honestly. You have to keep in mind, is it possible? Possible. I'm not saying that it's not possible. There was also very restrained comments from the command of the plan, which is People Liberations Army Navy, but it was neither denying it nor confirming it. So maybe something did happen. If this situation did happen, is it a setback? Oh, absolutely it is a setback, no doubt about it. It's a very serious setback. But will it set back the program, if to assume that this is true, back necessarily? No. It's kind of material thing. It's obviously very sensitive and very, in a sense, humiliating loss. But in terms of programs, no, because obviously the submarine sinking near pier, it's either sabotage or some kind of the mechanical failure, which not necessarily related to the all types of the new technologies which go into developing of the new submarine. So it could be purely negligence on the part of the shipyard. Who knows what it could be, but not necessarily in terms of program and technological solutions which go into this. But yes, if it sunk, that's it's more embarrassment, So I'm pretty sure that if they need to, they will float it back and clean whatever, So we'll see. I don't know how to comment on this. So we need to wait and see what is going to happen, because we know that also satellite pictures are very often doctored. For example, as we know it, a bunch of satellite pictures have been doctored for the benefit of the Ukraine. And so let's wait and see. So I kind of zip my lips on this, and as anybody should do, I will wait for the more information to come in. So this is what I wanted to tell you today, and you know what, as always, I want to express my profound gratitude to my wonderful patrons for what they do to me. And I always say that, you know what, guys, please subscribe to my channel if you like it, and if you can afford, please support me on the Patreon or buy me a coffee and two. I would really appreciate this. So have the nice rest of your weekend, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.